Hello everyone, it's time for another part of playthrough from Gran Turismo 4. Finally, also time to start the professional league. First episode includes Clubman Cup and Tuning Car Grand Prix. That's why I'll choose this Nissan GTR concept from Tokyo Motor Show 2001 as the first car for Clubman Cup. I have just enough money to buy some decent upgrades, like turbo kit, like lightweight stage 1, or possibly a turbo kit. Because being honest, I don't need too many upgrades, but let's also include the fact that in Gran Turismo 4 all those events are a bit more difficult than in Gran Turismo 3 because we don't have beginner league, amateur league, like in Gran Turismo 3 obviously. So Clubman Cup is only available in professional league, also Tuning Car Grand Prix. That means I need to properly tune up my car, even if I will be the fastest driver in those events. I can still just buy enough upgrades to quickly pass all those events with gold price and acquire all prize cars. So I might as well buy this rigidity refresher plan, but I don't need that because I know that it would not work good enough. I can't acquire a rear wing because this is a concept car, but I can at least change oil to gain extra power for my car. So, right now I'm ready to take part in Clubman Cup. And that's a good thing, I have highly modified Nissan GTR concept, so now it's time to check out the professional hall. Professional hall includes Clubman Cup, Tuning Car Grand Prix and some other events like Race of NA Sports, Race of Turbo Sports, Boxer Spirit, etc. All the way to Supercar Festival and Gran Turismo World Championship, but those will be taken care of in next 2 episodes because I thought about making long marathons. So right now I have 5 races in Clubman Cup. Those includes Clubman Stage Road 5, Deep Forest, Apricot Hill Raceway, etc. And I'll race with fast sports cars, which is also a good thing. So the first race takes place on Apricot Hill Raceway, normal direction, and strangely enough I don't have many fast opponents. Mitsubishi Eclipse GT, Joe, 305, Turbo 16, but it's not a problem. I can still drive fast enough and win all those events without any problems. All those 5 races in Clubman Cup, acquire a nice prize car and move on to Tuning Car Grand Prix. So this is not a problem at all. So right, I have a very fast car. As it turns out, all those upgrades weren't exactly important ones, but thanks to that I can easily win all those races. Can't say without any problems, obviously, because, well, I need standard or sports tires to even participate in this event, but still I have a first concept car, many upgrades, and despite this event being the first one in professional league, it's actually, I might say, as much simple and easy as, for example, drivetrain events in beginner league. That possibly means that Clubman Cup was supposed to be also in beginner events, probably, but they decided to get it to professional league as a bit of a introduction to this next league. Also why, for example, we don't have a pro league like in Turismo 3, pro league edition of drivetrain events with faster cars. Possibly because of those quirks and oddities, like the fact that we have many other events, and also they did not want to make a big one grinding festival like in Gran Turismo 3. That's why, for example, we have those events picked up in that way. But it's not a big problem. Next 2 episodes will be much longer, but also I'll take care of all drivetrain events, not drivetrain events. After Clubman Cup and Tuning Car Grand Prix, I have race of NA Sports, race of Turbo Sports, all of those events, including World Classic Car League, all the way to Supercar Festival. After that, I have Gran Turismo World Championship, which I can honestly say right now it is much more difficult even than Pro League edition of GT World Championship in Gran Turismo 3. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I've played this game last time, possibly. I mean, the last time I made a playthrough was possibly 5 to 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly 10 to 12 years ago, because that was also the last time I had a chance to check out Gran Turismo 4 on my good old PlayStation 2 console. I'm already planning to buy another PlayStation 2, because it's not that I'm actually tired playing on an emulator, but if I want to check out something else, emulator is the best alternative if you want to pass a game, but it's still an emulator. It's not the same software, hardware, I mean CPU, all of that stuff, emotion engine, anything else is not one-to-one the same scheme, source code, all of that stuff. So why not buy another PlayStation 2 console in better condition than my good old, over 15 years old console. As you can see, this first race was a breeze, I can say, because 3 laps around the Prikolski Raceway with huge runway. I got only 3,000, almost like in beginner league, but I don't care. I can take care of all those races, and after that move on to Tuning Car Grand Prix. And luckily I also have the perfect tuned up car for this particular event, another Nissan to be precise. Yes, I know, but this means that Tuning Car Grand Prix will not be difficult at all. Second race in Clubman Cup, Turismo East version. I have a nice set of opponents: Honda S2000, Alfa Romeo 147 GTA, and even Mitsubishi Eclipse GT from 2006. Yes, because, for example, the same model was shown in Need for Speed Most Wanted, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly even a few budget games. It was supposed to be one version of this car, because Mitsubishi Eclipse GT was supposed to be produced from 2006, but in 2005 there were, let's just say, pre-production models. Not exactly concept cars, but just, you know, sometimes it happens that you have pre-production models for testing, or just few people can acquire those cars, check them out, and possibly for the next year they can make few changes. If I'm not mistaken, the same scheme was developed for Ford Mustang GT, which was made in 2005, but in 2004 there were already plans to actually make few pre-production models just to check out if everything is alright. And in 2005 there was a whole production of this car, normal production, because the car was good enough, there was a market for it, etc. While I am talking all that stuff, this second race also gets a bit too easy, but it's not a big problem. I have a good set of smooth jazz, fusion rock, Japanese fusion rock, my favorite genre. Also, I am driving in a fast car around Tuning Motegi, so no big problem. Maybe besides those little mistakes I'm making because this car is too fast and I'm driving with sports tires. Not like in GT3, I can acquire racing tires and just shoot through those corners like a pro. Even in beginner league, I still remember those old events I passed while I was making the playthrough from Gran Turismo 3, back when I still got my PlayStation 2 console working before it finally surrendered. Well, it happens. Those were the times, obviously. Luckily, Gran Turismo 4 is not that much different also from Gran Turismo 3, I can honestly say. I have a lot of fun of this game. Sometimes I actually have those feelings that what if, for example, Gran Turismo 4 was actually published at the beginning of 2004 without all those changes to a physics engine. Like you have Gran Turismo 4 tracks like in late GT concept demos or GT4 prologue, but you can, for example, drive around Tsukuba circuit or Fuji Speedway, but you still have GT3 like physics. Well, that would be a nice show, obviously. Alright, just this left corner, sharp hairpin, and I'm done with the second track. Time to move on to the third one. So I can honestly say this Clubman Cup is a very easy event, because despite having 5 races, 3 laps each, 2 to 3 laps each, maybe 3 to 5, pardon me, because we also have those shorter circuits like Tuning Motegi's short course and something else. I feel that this Clubman Cup and Tuning Car Grand Prix would be a breeze. I need to be prepared. I still need to be prepared for later events in Pro League, because not only I have a lot of those events to take care of before the World Championship, those 2 episodes from Professional League might actually take me about 3 to 4 hours, because there is a lot of them. Still, there is a lot of those events, despite the fact that beginner and professional haul are not very long, like in Gran Turismo 3. But guess I'll get through it, it's not a big problem. Third race, 4 laps around Seoul Central, reversed variant. 3 points as a spec driver, because I am the driver, not the directors. I'm one of the directors of my own team. and 4 laps around iconic Korean city. Obviously, when I think about it, it would be a nice could be a nice thing if Seoul Central could actually be available also in GT Concept Tokyo Seoul, because honestly, you have, for example, Tokyo Route 246 in all 3 editions of GT Concept. Beside of that, fictional locations. No, Swiss Alps and Tahiti Maze are still fictional. Also Military Raceway on Touring. Maybe few pre-alpha stage tracks, like for example Elevation for Tsukuba, Suzuka and Motegi in Tokyo Seoul, Motegi South that was never made available in any GT game. Such a shame, obviously. I might say that Motegi South test track would be great, even if we have this Gymkhana course in Gran Turismo 4, but what you can do. I was actually a kid when those games were developed and published for PlayStation 2, so you know, and obviously not many people actually even knew probably that those tracks were actually in the game files, because I think that nobody besides of Polyphony Digital programists, graphic designers, etc. knew that those tracks would be good, but some of those were never actually made. Well, it happens. Only 2 laps to go. And what I also like about this Seoul Central track is, despite the fact that this track is a short one, it is actually, I might say, one of the best city tracks, not because of elevation changes and length, but because it actually looks a bit like a technical course. Surely many buildings and textures on this track look blurry, like taken from PlayStation 1 video games, but obviously you have this long hairpin, and after that you can shoot through those straight line, I don't remember the street, and just go over 200 kilometers from point A to point B through the start finish line. The last lap starts now, and I can drive 260 kilometers per hour before braking at this bit tighter section, and then I need to turn right before I go through even more tighter section, I mean. So this is a great track. Obviously reversed version of this track is great for test drive, because you can learn how not only elevation changes like in Nürburgring or Seattle circuit are important, but also you need to properly measure speed limits on each corner, and Seoul Central in that case is the best example. Right now at this hairpin you need to use the out in out technique, and thanks to that I can drive fast enough to run away even more from my opponents, despite the fact that I did not have a chance to make the best lap time this time, I mean, at the final lap. It is a nice experience. I really like this. So yeah. So I need to acquire my 3000 credits and I can move on to the next track, because I have only 2 races left before I can move on to Tuning Car Grand Prix. So after Apricot Hill, Twinning Motegi's short course and Seoul Central, now I have 5 laps around Clubman Stage Road 5, and then I can move on to Deep Forest Raceway. So 5 laps around iconic Road 5, the popular track, fictional city track, but the track from Gran Turismo 1, the original city circuit, and also one of the most iconic ones, because rather than Road 11, this particular track got its way all to GT6, if I'm not mistaken, because in GT Sport and GT7 they did not have an idea to make it. Alright, I need to drive fast. Yeah, too fast. I need to be careful right now. But luckily this is not a big problem, because I can easily just drive fast, even if I mess something up through those corners, I mean. I have a fast car with almost, if I'm not mistaken, 500 horsepower right now, so I thought even about buying Turbo Kit Stage 1 at least, but I think that is not really important right now anyway, if I bought it or not. Final lap. That's just too easy for me, I can say right now, because I don't have any problems with this fast car right now, despite having sports tires, obviously, but with all those upgrades, even without those upgrades, because this Nissan GTR Concept have somewhere about 450 brake horsepower. So yes, it is a very fast car. Messed up the I even have a chance, but not right now. If I could buy more upgrades, I might as well just pass again through all those opponents by one lap. That's interesting. So, an easy task is done. So right now I have only one final race to take care of. Take 3000 credits and move on to the Forest Raceway. Check out all those, let's just say, last race, last set of opponents, etc. 3 laps around the Forest Raceway would be an interesting experience, to be precise. And finally, for this final race, we have a bit faster cars. Even Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3 GSR, and also, again, Honda S2000 and Dodge SRT 4. So only 3 laps around this iconic, yet another iconic Gran Turismo original circuit, the Forest Raceway. Technical, of course, that is very difficult to be precise, but also I can have a lot of fun driving through those, let's just say, difficult sections, because not only because of elevation changes, but also undulating surfaces. Even Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3 is not fast. It's not fast enough. Taken out by 16 seconds. That's just perfect, to be honest, because it makes me think that I would as well just buy enough upgrades and don't care about opponents in Tuning Car Grand Prix event, because I as well have another fast Nissan GTR tuned up a bit, have somewhere around 500 horsepower, probably because of those upgrades, so those races would not be very difficult. So just the final lap at the Forest Raceway, and I can take the prize car, 3000 for this race, and then time for a little set of upgrades here and there, and Tuning Car Grand Prix is open for me. All done. So now I can take the prize car. Strangely enough, Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3 got itself all the way to the 4th place after a few those checkpoints and few laps. Interesting, but it's not my concern anymore. I take 3000 credits, prize car, and I'm moving on to Tuning Car Grand Prix because I need to acquire yet another prize car, and I want to see how difficult those opponents would be. Tuning Car Grand Prix might be a bit more difficult. As you can see in Clubman Cup, I can acquire Mazda Speed Atenza, or rather Mazda 6 MPS, which is an interesting car, to be precise. One of my favorites, actually, mostly because of the fact that it have a different drivetrain, a better engine with over 250-260 brake horsepower. Might be useful for at least one event or endurance race if I have a chance to check this out, but right now I need to get another Nissan car from my garage. And actually, let's see, here it is. Concept by Gran Turismo, known from Gran Turismo Concept. Nissan Gran Turismo Skyline GTR, which is an interesting car because it is actually, to be precise, a tuned air-tune version of Nismo Skyline, just with Gran Turismo livery, and it was also one of the fastest tuned-up cars in Gran Turismo Concept, despite having only 440 or 450 horsepower rather than over 500, because obviously it was just a changed up Nismo Skyline GTR R-Tune R34. Damn, that's a long name. So I bought a few upgrades and now I can change the oil. I always felt it's funny, you know? Changing oil. How he puts it there after disposing of the dirty amount of it. Never knew. Well, I guess polyphonic logic strikes again, as it often happened. So, right now I have a championship, Tuning Car Grand Prix. 10,000 credits for each win and 20,000 if I win the whole championship. And I have great tracks, again Apricot Hill Raceway, but besides of that I have Fuji Speedway, Tokyo Route 246, El Capitan, which is interesting for those tuned up cars, and the final showdown at iconic Tsukuba Circuit. Also I have a nice set of opponents. HPA Motorsports R32, which is a highly modified Volkswagen Golf, Roof BTR, and 2 editions of Honda S2000. So I have Roof BTR, Roof RGT, HPA Motorsports Golf R32 Stage 2 Turbo Tune-Up, if I'm not mistaken, Opera Performance S2000 and Spoon S2000, and I'm driving in a very fast tuned up Nissan Skyline GTR with Gran Turismo livery. That's an interesting championship, to be precise, because obviously I think that even if this HPA Motorsport Stage 2 R32 might be the fastest car in this whole event, I still have few upgrades, so I can still win those challenges, all those 5 races, and take the prize of this whole championship with me home. So let's see. If this HPA Motorsport Stage 2 is that much fast, if I'm not mistaken, it only costs around 32,000 credits, strangely enough, despite having all those upgrades. HPA Motorsport Stage 2 R32 in Gran Turismo 4 cost possibly the same amount of money, or even less, actually less than Volkswagen Golf Mark IV R32, which is shocking, to be precise. It is a perfect starter car if you can actually take 100,000 credits from your GT3 save. Well, I can't because I'm playing Korean version because of many bonus vehicles I wanted to try out at least once during this playthrough. At least some of those, like Hyundai Click possibly. Obviously also there is Lexus S200 GT1 from the Korean Touring Car Championship. Yes, because Korea also have those championships, obviously. Just like, for example, in Russia, we had Russian Touring Car Championship with, if I'm not mistaken, Lada 2110 BTCC. That was an interesting car. With Opel engine, 2-liter engine, 280 horsepower. Well, let's be honest also, even Argentina even have their own touring car championships. Alright, first race is done. That's perfect. I can also see that Opera Performances 2000 is one of the fastest actually, because of a huge disposal of all unneeded parts. So stage 2 R32 is one of the fastest cars, but it's not the best for this Tuning Car Grand Prix without proper tires and few changes to suspension, etc. Second race is an iconic one because Fuji Speedway 90s, despite the fact, that's interesting thing, that we have here cars from 2004, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, in 2004 this Fuji Speedway old variant was under construction and changed into 2005 edition, which is interesting. Damn it. So I have iconic Fuji Speedway 90s with all those cars. It always also made me laugh that in Gran Turismo 4 we have both old variant of Fuji Speedway and the new one, which is a bit illogical. Polyphony logic strikes again, because we have cars that were made after the plans for Fuji Speedway were actually in progress. I mean, changing of all those corners, elevation changes, etc. The whole rebuild actually of Fuji Speedway, to be precise. But still, for a few events we have Fuji Speedway from the 80s, from the 90s, but also we have Fuji Speedway from 2005. And this precisely was made that way because while Fuji Speedway 90s was made, there was a 2003, because before GT4 Prologue there were also special demos of GT Concept, Lupo training versions 1 and 2, and also Gran Turismo Subaru Driving Simulator. By the time, for example, the E3 edition of Gran Turismo 4 for 2003, year 2003 was made. By the time Prius Trial version of Gran Turismo 4 was published, this earlier demo, if I'm not mistaken, this track was closed and put under construction. Actually, the whole rebuild, to be precise. So yeah, it was an interesting case. So possibly that's why we also have old variant of Fuji Speedway and the new one, because they also thought if we have new cars like BMW or BMW M5, why not also put the new edition of Fuji Speedway besides Fuji Speedway old version, and not, for example, think about let's just make it that way. We still have Fuji 90s, and 2005 would be left for example, a special edition or something else. Don't know, don't understand it at all. Surely we have, for example, the cases like with, if I'm not mistaken, F1 Racing Championship or Career Challenge, that's the game of this game, for example, or Test Drive Ferrari Racing Legends, something like that. But we had seasons there, and those cars that we choose have an impact, let's just say, sort of an impact, which tracks are available for us to avoid the popular anachronism, but also those situations where you're driving a car from 2005 or 2006, or for example in Tourist Trophy and as a used track, obviously logic there happened. We have Fuji Speedway from the 90s in Tourist Trophy, where there were many motorbikes from 2005, and by that time Fuji Speedway old version didn't actually even exist at this time anymore. So yeah, that's an interesting story of Fuji Speedway, and I also won this race to avoid boredom. Told you again, possibly, a story of Fuji Speedway and why, for example, it is that strange. So, at this particular track, HPA Motorsports also was second. Opera Performance got worse position, fourth. So now we have Eiseho few cars, and third track, Tokyo 246. That's just perfect. And that also means I can drive fast enough on this track also, and let's be honest, it's almost the same as with Seoul Central. I can drive fast enough and just run away from all my opponents. actually, which is good. Right now I am in the first place because Roof BTR and HPA Motorsports R32 Stage 2, just a highly tuned Volkswagen Golf. Perfect. I can drive over 270 kilometers per hour. That's really fast. And also I have the final lap before moving on to El Capitan, from Tokyo to El Capitan, Yosemite National Park to be precise. And after that the final showdown at Tsukuba Circuit, 5 laps around this iconic short drift track. Just a perfect set of circuits to win, because honestly that's a good selection, because we have city circuits like Tokyo Route 246, we have National Park El Capitan, well, undulating surfaces, long sections, and also, to be precise, tight hairpins. So bit more technical circuit, even if it's not like its beta edition from 2003, because back then there were no ideas for Cathedral Rocks trails. There was the whole idea of Yosemite or El Capitan, but back then El Capitan was supposed to actually be something like a mix of El Capitan we have in Gran Turismo 4 and Gran Turismo PSP, also Tourist Trophy obviously, and Cathedral Rocks Trail, a technical tarmac rally circuit. So yeah, another win, over 260 kilometers. This time Roof BTR was the fastest car, and Spoon S2000 was the worst. Interesting. So now I have only 2 races left. El Capitan in Yosemite, and after that Tsukuba Circuit, 5 laps, which is a great choice. But whatever, I can have a lot of fun driving around El Capitan in this particular GTR. Alright, so now it's time for 4th race. El Capitan reversed. 3 laps around iconic fictional track, but set in real location, because this is supposed to be a Yosemite National Park. So this is how this track looks like actually, because it was not the case in 2003 when Gran Turismo 4 was in progress. It's also a good thing that I only bought stage 1 of disposal of unneeded parts. I mean the lightweight modification, because obviously I have many problems with those trucks like El Capitan, Seattle Circuit, etc. Mostly because of the fact that those tracks have elevation changes and obviously undulating surfaces. That means if you have a light car, for example Ginetta G4 or something at this level, passing through those sections like here could be a pain in the butt. But obviously, if you can, for example, drive fast in this car like Nissan Skyline, which have a better grip, it's heavier, and also the suspension works a bit different, then El Capitan is not a very difficult circuit. And also this background, iconic rocks, hills and forest all around this track. It's actually the same scenery, almost the same as on actual Yosemite National Park. However, let's just say that the roads there are a bit different. Surely we have those sections like in this game, normal streets around this national park, but you also have to watch out because of many difficulties, and let's be honest, some dangerous areas are there too, like around Yellowstone National Park, volcanoes, geysers, all that stuff. Alright, the final lap, and I also have almost 8 seconds to my opponents. And also behind the wheel of this Nissan Skyline GTR R34. It's not a very difficult track actually, mostly because of those enhancements I bought for this car, which, let's be honest, there are not too many of those, especially when it comes to weight of this car. That's why also with grip inclusion of grip of this whole car with four-wheel drivetrain, full drivetrain to be precise, I can honestly say, good effects out of this amount of grip, speed, but also even on this section, this car is not too twitchy, and that's the best thing. So after this particular race, I'll be prepared for the Tsukuba circuit, which is a good thing because 5 laps around iconic drift track used, for example, by Keiichi Tsuchiya, and also for, let's be honest, various races, competitions like motoring. That's a completely different level even than Gran Turismo, because if Gran Turismo 4 could have, for example, Porsche, Ferrari and those other manufacturers like for example driving emotion type S, then I think that GT4 might be the perfect game for pseudo motoring races. You know, like something like a fan made would be perfect in this case. So as I am in the first place again, 40 points, all 4 races right now done without any problems at all. So now it's time for Tsukuba Circuit, the final showdown of this championship, but also the final track I have to take care of today, because this episode is not the longest one. After Tuning Car Grand Prix, I'll take care of race of NA Sports, Turbo, etc. So let's just get straight through Tsukuba Circuit. 5 laps, and I can see by the results that I have Roof BTR and HPA Motorsport Stage 2 R32 exactly in race results. So that actually means I have great chance to check out who is the fastest on Tsukuba Circuit, but who also have better handling in his car. It's obvious that I am the fastest actually out of all those drivers around Tsukuba right now, but I mean, who's gonna win also this little sub-battle, as I can call it, because I'll finish this race in the first place, but is it gonna be Rove BTR at second place or HPA Motorsport Stage 2 R32? Let's check it out. Maybe I can give a chance to HPA Motorsports Stage 2 R32, because obviously Rove BTR is second, HPA is third, and I am from the Eastern Europe, so I can sometimes make a good laugh out of all those things, that sometimes when someone is better, it doesn't mean he can win it. So let's make a little rigged bet, because I can. Obviously Rove BTR on this particular track is fast enough. Even Stage 2 R32 tries to fight back, but I got a faster car. So now it's time for Rove BTR. Can I actually push it off the track and let HPA get its glory? Unneeded glory, to be precise, but still, Rove BTR have his chance at winning. I can make sure that HPA have a chance, at least for once, to win it, because maybe later on I'll have a chance to check out the same types of cars at one endurance race, if I'm not mistaken, actually have tuned cars, so there's a possibility for another battle between Rove BTR and HPA Motorsports Stage 2 R32, as you can see right now. Rove BTR got off the track, and I am in the first place, so let's see after this how all this plays out. Rove BTR is still second. I don't care too much about that. Let them take action. I am in the first place and I need to win this particular competition. So let's give it a try. And for those final laps, I also have a song, Nobody, by Masahiro Ando. Remastered for GT4, but this is the best track from this whole list of music. Soundtrack from this game, I mean. So, the best music, for example, for motoring challenges, because you hear a fusion rock, Japanese rock metal music during a casual race on Tsukuba Circuit or Fuji Speedway. And it's not the same as Daiki Kasho music, because that actually was closer to EBM, but this is a completely different level from the whole soundtrack of this game. That's why, for example, beside of obvious copyright issues, I thought about only including in this particular playthrough, just like with Gran Turismo 3, for example, only songs from this game. Official soundtrack from Gran Turismo. Masahiro Ando, like you can show eventually some old classical music tracks, which, if I'm not mistaken, are not copyrighted anymore because they are so old. Some of those could actually be not copyrighted right now. The final lap, and I can honestly see that Roof BTR is actually the second fastest car in this whole event, because HPA is too far away, and also we have Roof RGT, and also two modified Honda vehicles, Honda S2000s. But the best thing about this particular championship is, despite having a fast car, I had some challenge, because at the first few laps, opponents actually tried to fight with me, which is a good thing. So, I won this whole championship. Clubman Cup and Tuning Car Grand Prix is done. And Rover GT is the last car in this event. On this race, I mean. Nope. It looks like Rover GT, despite being a better car in GT3, in this particular championship is the slowest car. Such a shame. In comparison to that, older and more dangerous Roof BTR is second. Well, polyphony logic strikes again, I guess. Again. But I have 10,000 credits and I am the champion. That means I have 20,000 for this whole championship done. And also, I think that I deserve a great tuned up vehicle after this whole championship. So let's check this out actually. Ooh, Nissan Option Stream. Is it? Nissan Option Stream. Option Tuning Battle Edition. A very fast car, to be precise, which would be useful for the next episode, but not today. Stay tuned for the next video and have a nice day. I'm out.